What's up, legends? Welcome back to Tales of the Famous, the only channel that drags the real, unfiltered moments out of the shadows and puts them under the spotlight they never asked for. If you're new here, hit subscribe and ring that bell right now, because every week we tell one story the history books skipped, the highlight reels never caught, and the people involved barely ever talked about until now. Today we're going back to Los Angeles, summer 1970. The air smells like hot asphalt, cheap incense, and ambition. Muscle cars cruise Van Nuys Boulevard. Black Belt magazine is selling out at every newsstand. And in every dojo from the Valley to Chinatown, one name is starting to drown out all the others: Bruce Lee. This is the true story of what happened when a 20-year-old karate prodigy decided he was going to be the guy who exposed the myth and instead got quietly, surgically, permanently humbled in a private room with no cameras, no crowd, and no mercy for the ego. Let's step onto the mat. Los Angeles, July 1970. Inside the Challenger Dojo, a narrow, fluorescent-lit box tucked between a coin laundry and a greasy spoon diner off Ventura Boulevard, the evening class is winding down. The mirrors are steamed, the heavy bags still swinging, and the air is thick with the smell of sweat and camphor. On the far wall hangs a faded poster of Gichin Funakoshi, but everyone's eyes are on the small black-and-white television bolted in the corner. The tape playing is Bootleg, shot on a handheld 8mm of the 1967 Long Beach International. A small Chinese man in a black tank top is moving through a crowd of American heavyweights like they're standing still. One-inch punch, side kick, finger jab gone. The students are glued to it. Standing front and center is Scott Talbot. 20 years old, 6 foot, sun-bleached blonde hair spiked high, shoulders cut from years of push-ups on his knuckles. His GI is snow white, sleeves rolled to the elbow, and across his chest is a custom-embroidered patch in blood-red thread. No mercy, no excuses. In the last 6 months alone, he has won 12 tournaments up and down California. He earned his Shodan in under 3 years under Sensei Yamamoto, a stern Okinawan who still bows to the Kamidana every class. Scott's reverse punch splits boards like they insulted him. His hook kick has put 2 opponents in the emergency room this year alone. In the dojo, he is the sun, and everyone else just orbits. He watches the grainy footage of Bruce Lee, snorts, and turns to the room. All that flashy crap looks good on camera, but put him in a real fight with no cuts and no slow motion, and he folded in the first round. The younger belts laugh nervously. One brave teenager pipes up, "Didn't he train with it, man? Didn't he beat guys twice his size in Oakland?" Scott's smirk widens. "Stories get bigger every time they're told, kid. You put a showman like that against someone who actually competes, someone trained for real combat, and it's over before the ref can count to 3. He raises his voice so the whole room hears the punchline. "If Bruce Lee is really all that, tell him to come find me. I'll show him what a black belt actually looks like." The words hang in the air like smoke. That same night, a visiting Muay Thai coach from Long Beach hears it, laughs, and repeats it over late-night pho in Chinatown. By the next morning, the story has jumped from Sifu to Sifu. By the third night, it has reached a quiet apartment in Bel Air where a small man with a notepad full of philosophical sketches is already smiling at the thought. For days after Scott's boast, the dojo door slides open during evening warm-ups. A stranger in a brown Mandarin collar shirt steps in, bows 90 degrees to Sensei Yamamoto, and silently hands over a sealed envelope on heavy rice paper. He bows again and leaves without a word. The room freezes. Yamamoto opens the envelope, reads once, and looks straight at Scott. It's from Bruce Lee. He accepts. Private sparring only. No press, no audience, no students. Pasadena Martial Club, July 29th, 10 a.m. sharp. Scott forces a laugh for the room, calls it perfect, says Bruce is scared of cameras. But the laughter dies in his throat the second class ends. The next 7 days are the longest of his life. His training partners suddenly pull every punch. Sensei Yamamoto stops correcting his form and just watches with unreadable eyes. At night, Scott sits alone in his apartment with a stack of bootleg tapes, slowing the footage frame by frame, searching for tells that aren't there. No telegraphing, no repeated patterns, just pure, terrifying economy of motion. July 29th arrives under a brutal California sun. Scott pulls up to the Pasadena Marshall Club, an old brick building hidden behind a row of insurance offices, expecting a circus of reporters and groupies. Instead, the parking lot is almost empty. Inside, the gym smells of old canvas and liniment. For people total, an elderly timekeeper with a stopwatch. Mr. Chong, Bruce Lee's soft-spoken Wing Chun associate. A silent gym helper rolling out a single mat. And in the center, stretching like he has all day, wearing simple black kung fu pants and a white tank top, Bruce Lee. He looks smaller than the tapes made him appear. Maybe 5 feet 7 inches, 135 pounds, soaking wet. But the second Scott's eyes land on him, something shifts in the air. Scott's confidence floods back. This will be quick. Bruce walks over, bows deeply, and speaks for the first time, voice calm and almost gentle. Let's keep it respectful. We both walk out upright. Scott gives a curt nod and mutters something about respect being earned. The timekeeper claps once. First round. Begin. Scott explodes forward with his moneymaker. The tournament-winning hook kick aims square at Bruce's shoulder. It never lands. Bruce is simply not there anymore. A half step off the center line, and the kick slices nothing but air. Scott recovers and unleashes combinations he's drilled 10,000 times. Jab cross, low sweep, rising elbow. Nothing connects. Bruce moves the absolute minimum required. Sometimes an inch, sometimes just a shift of weight, sometimes just a breath. 30 seconds in, Scott finally grazes a back fist across the ribs. Bruce doesn't flinch. He simply pivots, drops low, and places a light side kick to Scott's outer thigh that pushes him back a full step. Not hard, just enough to say, I've already read your entire book. With 20 seconds left, Bruce advances. Calmly, no wasted motion. A jab that stops an inch from the shoulder. A low kick that brushes the knee. An open palm that freezes half an inch from the solar plexus. The bell rings. Scott stands in the center of the mat, breathing like he just ran a mile, staring at a man who hasn't raised his pulse. Round 2. This time Scott doesn't charge. He circles, cautious for the first time in his life. Bruce steps forward like he's walking through water, then detonates. A faint jab high, a sweep low that unbalances Scott, and a straight fingertip thrust that stops 1 inch from his left eye. Scott freezes. If Bruce had finished that strike, the fight would already be over. Bruce lowers his hands slightly and speaks, voice still calm. You're not here to win. You're here to learn. You're strong, you're fast, but you're stuck. Trapped in forms. Trapped in habits. Scott throws everything he has left. Spinning back kick, his proudest technique. Bruce steps inside the spin, taps the turning leg just enough to kill the balance, and Scott lands awkwardly, nearly falling. Bruce exhales once. Be like water. The bell rings again. Scott doesn't sit. He just stands there, soaked through, staring at the floor. He waves off the third round. Bruce bows, picks up his towel, and heads for the door. Scott finds his voice. What happens now? Bruce pauses, turns, and smiles, not cocky, just peaceful. Now you decide what kind of martial artist you really want to be. 3 weeks later, the Challenger Dojo feels like a different planet. Scott no longer barks at white belts. He no longer brags about trophies. He trains in silence, corrects juniors with patience. And when Sensei Yamamoto speaks, Scott listens like his life depends on it. One night, after class, the nervous teenager who first asked about Bruce approaches him. So, did you beat him? Scott smiles, the first real smile anyone has seen in months. No, but he beat something out of me. Years later, Scott opens his own school. He doesn't call it Talbot Karate. He calls it Empty Cup Martial Arts. The logo is a single ripple in water. There are no trophy cases on the walls. And above the mat, in simple black ink on rice paper, hangs one line. An empty cup is ready to be filled. He never brags about the day he sparred Bruce Lee. When students ask, he only says, he didn't fight me. He showed me how to stop fighting myself. And in a small frame in the back office hangs a blurry black and white photograph. 2 men on an empty mat. No crowd, no cameras, no knockout. Just a quiet moment that changed one life forever. That private session in 1970 never made the papers. No footage exists. But for one young champion, it was the day arrogance died and a real martial artist was born. So tell me in the comments, legends, have you ever let confidence turn into arrogance and gotten humbled the hard way? I read every single story. If this one hit you, smash that like button, share it with your training partners, and subscribe for more untold chapters of the famous every single week. This is Tales of the Famous. Be water, my friends. See you in the next one.